What is good, everybody, man? It's lunchtime here on Thursday, man. Welcome into the Bluebloods official podcast of FCS Football Central on SI. I'm your host, Zach McKinnell, joined as always with my guy, Coach Leroy Frederick, man. Coach, I cannot believe we're already here, man. It feels like just yesterday we were previewing the 2025 season, going into our predictions, talking about what we thought the landscape was going to look like. And the HBCU football season's over, man. Now we shift attention to the Legacy Bowl, shift attention to NFL draft prep. And, man, I can't wait to jump into that, man. We'll probably have our guy Gerald on. Me and him work real closely on FCS Football Central on SI on all our draft topics. But man, Coach, it's over. The road is over, man. How we feeling, though?
Man, like we talked last time, it's bittersweet, but it's at the holidays, so that cheers you back up. And then as soon as New Year's is over, you fall back off into that football depression because at that point, it's just about off-season prep. Like you said, a bunch of shows on what could be coming down the pipe and just kind of all that kind of stuff like that.
Because you were in Atlanta for the game, and I unfortunately wasn't able to make it due to some personal things. But I mean, give me your take. This is the first. This is probably one of your first times being able to go just as a fan, right, and get to interact with the people, not have to game plan and be coaching on the sideline. Man, what was your experience in ATL like?
Man, I'm glad you brought that up. Shout out to my guys that brought me out there, Mr. Campbell, Coach Cole. Had me out there with that show. It was an awesome time, man. Got to check out the. We actually did a show that Friday, and then got to check out some after scenes associated with the game and stuff like that. So it was actually cool, man, and just to see uh, the workings around the game. Now I've heard it's been bigger. I can neither confirm nor deny that situation, but for me, being there and seeing just the fans, people file into the dome, was really one of those situations, man, where it was just like, wow, okay, this ain't bad right here. I could dig this. Now, I'd much rather be in there in the locker room, but
Yeah,
I could definitely dig all that other stuff, man. It was actually a pretty cool little scene.
man, I'm jealous, man. I had a blast last year going and I actually listen. There was a whole lot of just random conversations about the game, but man, the viewership was great.
I saw that.
I still don't think people understand how many people 26,000 really is, Coach. And for an FCS bowl game in Atlanta with one of the teams being all the way from Texas, I think 26K is pretty good. I think we're kind of downplaying 26K. People were out there acting like it was 7K, Coach, or seven people total on there having think pieces and all kind of stuff. Like 26K was really, really good. And then the viewership, what was it, 2.3 million? I think it peaked at over three when it got it down there into overtime. Outstanding viewership all weekend, Coach, across FCS football. Three of the other quarterfinal games got up over a million views, topped by the Montana game at 1.9. I think it peaked over two as well. So, man, to have FCS football in the forefront is so big, man. And I think this weekend, Coach, we're going to have a FCS game that has a real good chance of topping even the Celebration Bowl viewership with Montana State. That might be the game of like the decade at the FCS level. Because, man, let's get to the game. South Carolina State finds a way to get it done, 40-38, winning in multiple overtimes here. They were down 21-0 at halftime, and I did talk about my thoughts a little bit on HBCU Nightly on Sunday night, but I still, going back and watching it this week, Coach, I still think we might have underplayed how big the momentum swing was there in the early third quarter, specifically with the reverse call that they had, where I'm going to toss it to you in a second as a guy who's called plays, as a guy who's been on the offensive staff. I think people underestimate not just the momentum of the game coach, but the momentum and rhythm of a play caller. And it felt like that play call, he was so confident in what he was calling because in the first half, everything was working. That coach, it was just one bad play call can just set the trajectory in the wrong direction. You saw after that reverse, it took them a little while to kind of get their rhythm back as a play caller and as an offensive staff. And I just, looking back, I just cannot wrap my, and maybe if it's hindsight, right? Because if it works, everyone's talking about, oh my God, he's the next Matt Leone, right? Who's calling these trick plays in the game and they all seem to hit. it just felt like that was just such a weird spot to call that play, coach. And then not to have your players understand, listen, man, if the play's blown up like that on the reverse, just tuck the ball and let's take the loss. Like, don't try to toss it to the guy as you're getting tackled by the defensive tackle who somehow got, 6 yards up the field, it felt like. And it felt like from that play on, coach, South Carolina State had all the momentum. And I texted Timothy after the second touchdown, not the first one, but it was 21-14. I texted Timothy. I was like, man, I think this one might be a wrap. Like, South Carolina State is on a run now, and it just looks like PV has no response.
It was a tale of two halves, and I think that play got them through the third quarter because at that point, I think they were really, how do you put it, kind of like a boxer, man. They were really hanging on, trying not to take another punch, right? Trying to catch their wind, trying to get their footing. And I think that play just kind of helped them at the ease in which they scored after that turnover, right? And now, okay, we start to see that we're supposed to be here. We're good. We're going from there. And then I think, as a play caller, at that point, you've got to find that one call on your sheet that is guaranteed it's going to get you 10 yards, right? Just to get yourself back together. But as you just said, after that, it was kind of 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And they weren't good 3 and outs, if that makes sense. They were 3 and outs that caused your punting unit to come out and have to hit a real boomer or something to flip the field, and they never could get it flipped. So I think that was the thing. That was also under talked about point, I think, from a lot of people is they could never flip the field. I think after that, in that third quarter, the worst starting position for South Carolina State, correct me if I'm wrong, was maybe somewhere between their 48 and the 50-yard line. So they played on that other side pretty much the whole third quarter. And by then, you know yourself, B, once you get confidence, it's over. That's in anything. Once I'm playing pool and I hit that one cut shot, oh, I'm Minnesota fast at this point because everything's about to fall in. Because now you're not afraid to do anything. You're like, hey, let's go. And our number 2 quarterback is clicking on all cylinders. Like, man, come on. And I'll flip it to you real quick. And I hadn't had a chance to ask anybody, but I've been really wondering, the thoughts of people in this space. If the number 1 quarterback doesn't go down, are they still clicking like that, in your opinion?
No, I think it was best case scenario that I never root for a guy to get hurt. Let me make that very clear.
Yeah, not that.
South Carolina State doesn't win this game if number 1 doesn't go down with an injury. That ended up being the best case scenario for them because they had nothing offensively with the other guy. And it's one of those situations we've seen it before, right, Coach? It was funny in that exact same stadium, Alabama going to Tua completely flipped the game plan. It was in that exact same stadium in a national championship game as well. Because you've been on coaching staffs, Billy Atkins and Stubblefield, I don't think they're super different quarterbacks. Like, it'd be one thing if one guy was a standalone pocket passer and then the other guy was a dual threat, Felix Harper type of guy. They're very similar. They're not super different quarterbacks, but you game plan for QB1 all week. And I understand people are always say, man, you always kind of know who the number 2 is. Knowing who the number 2 is and having a full game plan for him are two different things.
Right.
And I do think that really gave PV's defense some issues. But then also, too, I don't want to give the PV defense an out here. The offense didn't help them again. You have the fumble. You put them right in the red zone. And then the next 2 drives, Coach, you go a combined 6 plays for -3 yards.
Which goes back
What do you
to
want me to what do you want me to do with that? Someone said I'm faster than him. If I'm gonna give Billy a little bit more credit to that. If I'm faster than him and I'm way faster than I think I am. If that's the case, if he can't outrun an old washed up O lineman, we got bigger issues. But
man.
I will say I just don't think PV's defense was ready for for Stubblefield to come in, and maybe he is a bit more athletic, right? But it's not a like to me, they're still on like equal playing field, in my opinion. But I do think it was the PV offense that really turned this game around, man. And when you look in the two scoring drives they had, coach, one was on that big explosive play where the wide receiver broke the tackle up the sideline. Two plays, 70, 75 yards. Then the other one, they had some explosive plays mixed in. But I still go back to just the overall second half to overtime play calling for PV.
Mhm.
Super questionable, in my opinion. And that's no disrespect to the OC at PV, man. That guy's won a national championship at Sam Houston State. He's done well all year, but as analysts of the game and analysts in this space, we have to be able to be critical of coaches when they don't perform well, just like we have to be critical of players when they don't play well, right? And so I do think he would even say it's a fair criticism. I don't think he called his best game in the second half because, coach, we can even fast forward to that missed field goal in that one overtime period. You get the big interception. It's 3rd and 3. Bro, go get the first down. It's the national championship. I thought being conservative killed him there, and then especially when you have a field goal kicker that missed in the first half.
And he's a freshman, true freshman.
Yeah, I didn't like the conservative how conservative they were there. He missed what was it, a 19-yarder in the first quarter? Bro, go get the first down. Like I want it on the 1 yard line if we're kicking a field goal. Like I want him to just be able to like half kick it through the uprights. I just didn't like how conservative they were in overtime. And like now if this was week 2, coach, maybe I feel differently, right? But this was the HBCU national championship game. Your defense bailed you out. Go win the game. You have a quarterback who is built for that moment, for 3rd and 3. That's what he's built for. We saw all game against Jackson. QB power, QB power, QB power. They couldn't stop you. Now, they didn't run the ball well in this game, but man, I'm putting the ball in Four's hands and saying, man, you have got us to this moment. Go win us the game now.
I think one of the old sayings in football, if you, it's like I said, if you go to prevent defense, that does nothing but what prevent you from winning. If you play for the field goal in those type of situations, that does nothing but put more pressure on your kicker. And I'd be willing to say 8 times out of 10, that's the final goal that happens, right? You end up missing the field goal. That's why you never play for that. But I think, and it's just me from a football coach's standpoint, I think in the second half, I won't say they, yeah, I'm going to say, I think they took their foot off the gas offensively because I think they didn't want to run it up or potentially have that type of situation of running it up. But in that, this is it. This is for all the marbles. This is the last game. We just got to go. And I think in the second half, probably eased up just a little. And once you ease up, it's just tough to get your rhythm back. And then, you had the turnover. And I think that's kind of what happened to them. They just lost their rhythm. Then they were able to get it back in the fourth quarter. And when they took the lead, I think I might not have been the only one, but I thought at that point, okay, they've restored it. Now they're about to take the game back over. But credit to Coach Barry and his staff. Those kids at that point had the no quit in them. And they battled back, got right back to even, and overtime, here we go. And I mean, again, I don't know if you could have asked for a better game.
No, definitely not. And he's out of eligibility, coach, so you don't have to worry about tampering here. Jordan Smith, man, for South Carolina State, number 5 wide receiver. My God, man, that kid was a baller in the second half. Coach, just looking at it from your perspective, what was South Carolina State doing differently schematically to have more success downfield than they did in the first half?
They moved him outside, inside. They moved him around, and the connection that he had with the QB was incredible. Uh, he was fitting some passes in there that, like you said, week 2 probably would have been picked, right? Week 3, you're fussing at him like, come on, man, I can't fit that dig route in between the linebacker and the safety that's covering him. Let's go somewhere else. But at that point, man, they were feeling it. And, as a former guy playing that position, once you get in that type of zone B, it's like in the huddle, I don't care what you just call, hey, bring it here. And that's what he did. And he just made plays, man.
Yeah, got a rushing touchdown as well, if I'm not mistaken, on that like jet sweep action. Had 9 for 152, 2 touchdowns. Listen, I understand the backup quarterback came in and won the game, so he gets MVP. Bro, give Jordan Smith the MVP, man. Like that, they don't win that game without him.
Now that's a double award that we should have given.
Yeah, there's the co award. Swag
That's
wants to
what.
give co awards when it
That
doesn't matter. Like
yeah, we
we did
definitely should
it.
have gave that one.
I was a bit surprised, Coach, that neither team was able to run the football all game. I think both teams averaged under 2 yards per carry. Man, how about these front sevens, man, and how well they played? I thought they were outstanding. Kavon Chisholm, who was a freshman All-American for us out of South Carolina State, he was the one that got up in the backfield and forced a fumble. He had a huge game, and they were just in the backfield all game long in terms of the run. And then PV again, was it Sterling Roberts had a really big game, and those guys up front. So I was really, really impressed with the front sevens in terms of defending against the run against two teams that were going to try to run the football, especially PV. But then again, man, I feel for number 4 on the other side, man. You can't play almost a more perfect game than that, and just
2 weeks
it
in a
it
row.
just yeah, 2 weeks in a row. I just what 4-12, 5 total touchdowns. Just a brutal way to lose on that one, Coach. I want to ask you about overtime, and I know you guys did a film breakdown on Campbell's show, Campbell's Coach's Corner earlier this week. Your thoughts on that last play call for PV? Because for me, it looked just disjointed from the start.
I just think they got tight. We talked about it. I think at that point, fourth down, you're talking about a bunch of kids, and I think at that point they just got tight. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's something they work on every Thursday, um, every Friday, whatever their fast Friday is or whatever. But I think in that moment, everything's going a million miles an hour, and it's a gotta have it moment. And I just think they got tight from spacing, from him taking the drop and the whole nine. Not getting deep enough with his shoulders downhill. And again, you're talking about kids, but how about the overtime rules, man? You gotta love the overtime rules in college football. Because if we don't have those rules and it goes back to the 25, we might have co-national champions because it ended in a tie. A couple years ago, that's how it would have happened, right? It would have ended in a
Yeah.
freaking tie. But you got to love those rules, man. And again, I think the underestimated thing here is those kids from South Carolina State, that coaching staff did not allow those kids to come out in that second half and have their heads down or have the defeated body language. Uh, that's a heck of a statement from that staff and from those kids to come out 21 down in a national championship game, and you've done basically nothing the first half to stop this other team, right? To come out and then be like, yo, we still have a chance, and they hit the field like that, man, hats off to them.
Was it a touchdown?
In my opinion, in my opinion, uh, yeah, uh, I got to go with that. Just because, I mean, his feet never went out. Now, the only question I have, and I went back and read it, uh, the ball never got inside. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the one angle, it looked like it may have grazed the pylon. The official was standing right there. Um, and that's one of those deals of where if he calls it no good and they go to the replay, they got to stand with what he called.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was
so
never being overturned either way.
no, 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 not at that point. No.
Yeah, I initially didn't think it was, but I agree with you. Like going back and watching it, like I'm okay with the call. And if you're PV, you just got to make the stop there. Like and then also too, I understand there were some people really really upset, and and saying some crazy stuff online, but that play that cost you the game, you allowed 40 points after halftime. You got outscored 40-17 after halftime. That lost you the game, not any call that happened after that. Like, you allowed 40 points after halftime. That's what lost you the game.
See, and then the coaching point in this from both sides, right? So after we get back to campus with the national championship trophy, I'm going to pull that kid to the side and I'm going to say, hey, man, when you catch that, bro, I don't need you to continue to go that way. I need you to put your foot in the ground, get your pads
Get
down, and
upfield.
go that way, right? And then
Yeah.
if I'm coaching the defensive kid, hey man, I got to take that up high, right? Because if I go low like he did, he's still got an opportunity to flip over me and get in there. So I got to put my face on that and drive back that way. But in that moment, those kids just kind of react the way they react. But the coaching side of me was like, we made this a lot tougher on both ends than it had to be.
Yeah, I still don't think people who haven't played, man, understand how much momentum really does play a factor in college
Mm,
football in particular. Coach,
it's
like
real.
looking here at the drive chart, in their first 5 possessions, like they had 5 possessions in the first half, all punts. None of them, all but one, got into PV territory, and the furthest they got was PV's 49. The furthest drive was 9 for 29 yards. That was it. Their first drive of the second half, 3 plays, 8 yards, punt. They had no momentum at all. And then after the fumble, coach, they go touchdown, 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 touchdown in the third quarter.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing, man. Momentum. Uh, all of a sudden, where you didn't have confidence to do anything, do certain things. Now all of a sudden you got confidence. Now all of a sudden that corner that I told everybody about that's going to travel with that number one. Now all of a sudden he's feeling really good about himself.
Yeah.
Uh, now all of a sudden that front four up there is feeling really good about it. And my guy Odafer couldn't make a bad call. Whatever he said in the game to the green dot to the player telling everybody else what the play call is, it didn't matter. They thought they could make it happen at that point because their confidence and the momentum shot through the roof at the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
How that's kind of where I want to get to next. Go into the coaching side of it. Man, how about Chinnis Berry and that coaching staff, man? And we kind of talked about it in the preview. They only had like one starter, two starters returning on this team. And to completely walk through the MEAC undefeated again in conference play, and then to get to the Celebration Bowl. And coach, as much as you like to think these teams are different, there are still players on this team that were there, right? And you don't think on the sideline in the locker room at halftime they're looking at the score 21-0 and they're thinking about last year, coach,
Oh yeah, it's
and what
set. Here we
happened.
go. Yeah,
Yeah,
here
and
we
getting
go again.
blown out. They're like, man, here we go again. We're back in Atlanta. We're getting smacked. We're getting smacked around again. And you don't think that the sideline was a little bit down on itself at that point? And for Chinnis and that staff to get those guys back locked in, where one turnover and they look up and now it's 21-21.
Yep.
And they're right back in this game. And what a coaching job for them to have this team there, to have a new starting quarterback, new contributors everywhere. O'Daffer, especially, man, on that defensive side of the ball. Like, you've had Gerard Washington and those guys, but you look at the defensive line, the linebacking core, safety. All these guys are new faces, whether they were developed, whether they were brought in through the transfer portal. To have all those guys all gel together at the right time and go win an HBCU national championship, man, props to Chinnis and that staff, man, because I still don't think, even at this point, coach, on the 18th here on Thursday, they have gotten enough credit for what they really did with this roster.
I mean, again, you play who you play, right? You play who you have on your schedule. You play who you have in your conference, and that's all you can do, and that's all they've done. And for 2 years, like you said, I don't care if it was Frederick Middle School. All they've done is beat them. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, to keep your team locked in, focused all throughout, and then I was really wanting to see his body language when they came back out. he looked the same as he did when he went in. Sweater
Yeah.
wasn't all folded up like he had went in there and took it off and slung it around the locker room and got up in some faces or anything like that. He still had the glasses on uh, inside the dome. He still had the glasses on. He still had it all. I mean, he was as calm and cool as anybody. And from the coaching side of it, if you live in chaos, your team's going to be in chaos, right? If you're calm and cool, then your team's going to be calm and cool. And that's what he did. Now, if he didn't believe or if he believed, we'll never know. But he gave that off to his team. And that type of thing is overrated, man. I mean, it is, underrated to have your leader not be phased. And, that just trickles down throughout the whole program.
Man, I'm just so impressed. And then also on the flip side, man, with Tremaine, like, yes, obviously the blown lead is brutal, but for him to have PV in the Celebration Bowl year one as well, running through a team like everyone thought Jackson was just a lock, coach, to potentially repeat and to go on the road, beat Jackson in the SWAC championship, get there and have a chance to win it, man, was so impressive as well. But coach, I want to shift here just some things we've missed. And obviously, we're going to come back and do like a full season recap. And we got a bunch of really, really cool topics we want to talk about, including grades, overachievers, underachievers. Man, we got a bunch of different ideas over the next handful of weeks. We'll take off next week for Christmas. But, coach, there's been some coaching changes across HBCU football. Van Malone headed to Hampton, long-time NFL Kansas State assistant, and has spent a lot of time in Manhattan, Kansas. Me and you have both spent time in Kansas, so I'm sure he's glad to get out just like we were. But then also too, a guy that you're close to, man, Howard head coach Larry Scott, leaving Howard to go be the tight end coach at Auburn. Coach, just when you look at these two schools, the battle of the real HU, man, what do you think about the hire of Malone, but then also Larry Scott's decision to step away from Howard and go be the tight ends coach at Auburn?
Coach Malone's getting out just in time. You know how it is around this time of year there.
Yes.
Uh, Snow and ice. So he's getting out just in time uh, and windy. But I think that's a big time hire for them. Somebody that has the experience that can kind of come in and try to reestablish the footing of that program. I think that's a big time hire for him. Congratulations to him. Uh, I hadn't talked to Coach Scott yet, but I think for him, that's a huge step in what it is that I think he's probably wanting to do. So, which is, get back to that level, so to speak, a la Coach Simmons, head coach type thing. Uh, Risky, maybe, but, again, it's the SEC, it's Auburn. I can understand it uh, from the monetary standpoint. And again, pure speculation. I think it's a move where he's, setting up the next move, if that makes sense.
Like a Willie Simmons type move. I will ask you this. Do you think, because, okay, this can be a two-parter, coach. I want you to be honest with me on the first one. It's going to lead me into the second one. How much do coaches, because every coach in the world says, man, we don't pay attention to social media. We don't hear the noise. How much do you think the noise on social media of Howard fans kind of, they've been very vocal about Larry, and Larry knows this. He's got to. Do you think that played any factor in this? Because there were a lot of Howard fans that were real happy he took the Auburn job.
I don't think it had anything to do with it, but to answer your first part, everybody says, yeah, I don't listen, blah blah blah, but everybody knows what's going on somehow, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely do believe that. I've told you, I've had coaches call me after our show and wanting to correct something that me and you have said, which is cool because we're all, the more people want to believe that we're not friends, the more we actually are really good friends in this circle, right?
Yeah.
So they definitely listen. They definitely have somebody telling them if they're not listening, so they can go back and listen. But knowing Larry for as long as I've known him, I don't think that had anything to do with the move. I just think it's a move to set up a move.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting, and obviously he has prior relationships because of where Goalish is coming from South Florida, and it's very clear that Goalish is going to put an emphasis on South Florida. And why would you not want to have Larry Scott on the staff if that's right? Because that's Larry's thing. He's done it with tight ends at Florida with what Kyle Pitts, I believe, was his tight end when he was at Florida as the tight ends coach. So he's done it. So I do think it's going to be interesting. The one name, and I know it was reported yesterday. I think Scotty reported it, and I texted you the second that this happened. I said if Alvin Parker's not on the phone, I don't know where else they're gonna go. Like, that feels like the no-brainer hire for me is Dr. Alvin Parker. It's already kinda shocking he hasn't got an opportunity coach, but now it feels like with Howard opening up, that feels like the easiest move for them, especially this late in the coaching cycle, because I don't think they're going to go the route that they did with Larry Scott, where they go get a high-level P4 assistant, NFL assistant, anything like that. And Howard doesn't, to me, seem like a school that's going to pull the plug on a celebrity hire.
And they probably don't feel like they have to because they are who they are. You know what I mean? The brand is the brand. You know, I think it's got to be him or someone within, so to speak, because of the timing. And that's the only thing that, is, I think, the question because of the timing. And you're talking about the recruiting aspect and things like that. Even though the recruiting game is 360 change from what it used to be, you still got to get somebody in there to hold the fort down for the guys you have there on campus. Uh, that window is about to open. We've already seen what a gazillion kids say when that
Yeah.
window open that I'm going to be in that, inside that window. So, you want to make sure that you got somebody in there to have that meeting, making those phone calls to the guys that are on the roster. Hey, I'm here. This is what it's going to be. I know you're home, but when you get back on such and such date, we'll have a team meeting. But I'm in place. Hey, I need you. Want you to stay. All of those things come into play. So I think the sooner, the better. And I think you've got to have somebody that's kind of in it that can kind of keep it going right now. So I think it's probably as we speak right now, uh, finalizing some of that stuff.
And the other big news, it came out today, Marshall Faulk's contract, or came out recently. Coach 3 years, $400,000 per year, 1.2 million total, with a 950K pool for assistant coaches. And obviously, you got the incentives. I think it was FBS wins, Bayou Classic, SWAC Coach of the Year, Celebration Bowl, winning the division, winning the SWAC championship, all that. But the the real kind of kicker here that was I felt like's been a little bit overlooked is he has a fundraising clause in his contract, so reportedly, where he receives 20% of the money that he raises for the athletic department. I'm gonna toss it to you real quick, and then I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. Your thoughts on that part of the deal?
I don't know who put that in there, but that's crazy. I mean, that's good, but I'm saying that's a crazy percentage. Um, Hats off to whoever put that in there. Definitely not going to knock that, but I can only see that being a double up for him because of who he is and in the state. You know what I mean? So he's from the state. He's gold jacketed. Uh, who knows his level or how many pages is in his Rolodex? Can you imagine how crazy his golf tournament would be if he really wanted to blow that up? Uh, and to take off 20% from everything, man, that's going to be absolutely crazy.
I mean, and what that really truly does, Coach, I think Football Scoop did a story on this. It kind of makes it where he doesn't have a cap on what he can be paid. Like, he literally can be paid as much as he wants, depending on how much he can fundraise. And I think they said, like, because let's just say, I don't know if he'll fundraise this, right? This is just a hypothetical number, people. If he fundraises $1 million somehow, that's 200K on top of that 400K base salary, plus his plus incentives if he wins any of those. things I laid out before, I I'm just curious to see how that if that turns into more fundraising or like how active he is in doing that. Because I would imagine because I do think Southern is a program that has people willing to invest, coach. So I would imagine they're going that like I got to imagine he's going to raise a pretty good bit of money to be competitive in the SWAC.
Oh, ain't no doubt. Again, like you said, just his reach, his level of visibility in the state, and then like you said, that university has a huge reach as well. So I can definitely see uh, him getting to 500 and not being a big issue.
Yeah, and then the last thing, coach, we've seen a ton of transfer portal announcements. Obviously, the big one, Andrew Body coming from Alabama State, hitting the portal. Not a huge surprise, right? I mean, SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, HBCU Plus National Player of the Year, won all kind of awards. Was a HBCU All American, Walter Payton finalist, all that. Coach, there was a conversation though last night, and there's been a conversation around the space for a while, and I just wanted to offer my take on it real quick. And I don't know if you've heard it necessarily. You might have, because I didn't get to watch the whole show with the Coach's Corner earlier this week, but there's a segment of people that are saying that depending on the offer Andrew can get, he should be okay to take a bag to go sit on the bench somewhere. And to me, that sounds insane. Like I understand. Is it life? Could it be life changing money? Whatever. So you're saying that there's a price for you to just put your football career aside because what you're doing in that scenario is you're getting a bad coach. You're taking payment to end your college football career, end your football career. Because if you go somewhere and sit the bench, you ain't getting drafted. There's no opportunities that come after that for the bench warmer that doesn't play. I just can't see that being a smart decision for Andrew. And I don't and I think the people that are saying that, one, are a little bit too infatuated with the bag, and then two, I think they're really underestimating the competitor that Andrew is. Because what you're saying is he's gonna be cool with just holding the clipboard next year, making whatever amount of money he's gonna make. For me, that seems just like a coach, correct me if I'm wrong. That seems like an insane move, and I like the fact that it even became a conversation was mind blowing to me.
Just from what and I'll keep it right there where you're talking. I just don't think that would even be in his mind. I don't even
No,
think that would be in the thought process between him and his family. I just don't think that would be something that they circled. And you gotta ask yourself what kind of bag would be that kind of bag to say, you know what, I'm cool. This is gonna set me and my people up for the rest of the foreseeable future. I just again I'm like you. I just don't see that. I don't know how you get to that thought process. Um, I'm just going to get this money, even though I know I'm going to sit for 6 months and just. I don't think people really understand how hard it is practicing college football. That alone, you know what I mean? Every day, going out there, summer. Of course, he's going to be somewhere in the spring. That's a lot of work, and it takes a lot from you, a lot out of you, to just say that okay, I'm not even here trying to compete for the starting job. I already know that I'm going to be 2 or 3, but as long as that cash app hit every month, uh, I'm good. I just can't see that uh, being part of his main focus. I just can't see that.
no, and I don't. And listen, I came into the show like I've heard it on a few different spots, but I just came into the show midway through, and I'm just like, I don't understand. There's one thing in terms of making life changing money, and so yes, if hypothetically he gets offered like $6 million, yeah, okay, I got you, kind of. But
Nobody's
bro,
offering $6
that
million for a backup.
nobody's thank you. And people are bringing up all these examples of guys getting the bag. One, you don't really know what they're getting paid because NIL deals aren't public. And two, yes, some of those 5-star freshmen are getting bags like that to come in and develop. No one's paying $6 million for a backup quarterback with 1 year of eligibility left, regardless of how good he is. No
No.
one's investing that. Just think of like that would be like going to your wife or whoever manages your money and being like, "Honey, man, I'm gonna spend $6 million on this car that I'm just gonna leave in the garage." Is that cool?
Nah, I can't see that.
No.
Um,
When we could be spending the $6 million on other stuff like a wide receiver, that we could divert those funds into wide receiver, offensive line, edge rusher. Like we're not paying $6 million for a quarterback to go sit the bench. Like if you're a backup, the most you're making is like maybe somewhere in that six figures range, depending on the university. Like Texas throwing bags at everybody, and maybe, but bro, you're not going to sit on the bench at Texas Tech for if you're cool with going to sit on the bench at Texas Tech for 700K. That's crazy in my opinion.
but and that's the other thing that I think a lot of people kind of get, you know, confused on or misled about. Um, Not everybody, not every kid on every roster, not everybody on Texas. Now, probably, I'm gonna use Texas Tech. They probably have something where everybody on the team gets a base or rev share, whatever it is.
Yeah, they
But
have the rev share for sure.
the real Arch Manning money, the real uh, the linebacker Rodriguez money, the real quarterback money. Ain't a lot of those guys making that on that roster. And I think that's where kids, I think that's where people on the outside get confused, that they think they can go to UMass and make that same type of money. They can go to Akron and make that same type of money. It's only a certain select few schools that is doing that. That Texas money is different. That's different money.
Yeah,
That
and
Ohio
and, and they're and
money
they're
is
not
different.
paying a quarterback $1 million to go sit behind Arch Manning.
Right. So again, um, I don't see that being a driving point for him.
No,
Uh, and then you're talking about what I think, I don't know if who's representing him, and or that, which sounds
he's got
insane.
he's got an agent. I know that. I will
Which
say.
sounds insane to say. Uh, Kids having agents, so you don't know what that money part of it is. It's just so much that goes into this NIL thing that has everybody kind of, because no one really knows the ins and outs of it. You got
Yeah.
B represents me. He gets me hooked up. Uh, he's anywhere from 3 to 5% of whatever it is I'm giving, off top. Now, Uncle Sam's gonna want his. You know what I mean? And then, you've got other expenses coming from that as well. So, it's one of those deals where I just can't see that being a driving point.
No, go get your bag. I'm cool with that, right? Like I'm fine with you going to get your bag. But at the same time, I don't think you would I personally just can't see anybody being okay with just taking a bag and going to sit, man. He's too talented right now. If he's a quarterback coach that 5'9", like okay, so let's take a guy you've coached, right, who's not no longer playing, Felix Harper. Felix knew he wasn't ever going to the NFL. He was too small. Like he was not an NFL guy. Coach, if $800,000 offer to go up to the FBS level to play or not to play, I'd be okay with that because like he doesn't have a real like he really didn't have a shot at the NFL, even though how good he was. But bro, any player that has a legit chance of going to play at any of these next levels, you can don't chase a small bag for an opportunity to just end your football career. Like to me, that makes no sense. And I understand the people saying go chase the bag. Me and coach aren't saying don't chase the bag. Go get paid for your talents, but don't go get paid for your talents and then put your talents up on the shelf where they're gonna waste away. Go get a bag where somewhere they're gonna value and play you. Don't go sit the bench for a bag. That's you can get a bag and play. Why would you go chase a a bag and sit on the bench? Like to me, like I just think people are like we talked about the pendulum coach in college football. The old system was terrible, right? it was taking advantage of players, and there were a lot of things wrong with it. But I felt like the people who are arguing this have swung the pendulum in the completely wrong direction. And now we're way too far over this side now. Like we need to find a common middle ground here. And just because the old system was terrible doesn't mean we need to make the new system terrible in the opposite direction. There needs to be some sort of balance here. And I'm hoping we get that pendulum swinging in the other direction, because I just feel like people are getting too caught up in just chasing the bag rather than forgetting that the reason you're chasing the bag is to get a bigger bag in the future with your talent. And it doesn't you and I think, what was it, Prom said it right. He's never learned anything sitting on the bench. Like, what are you doing going to sit on the bench? Uh,
It's there's going to be a situation where I think we're headed to where there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to break off because they're not going to be able to compete, right? I can see FCS becoming a very, very large entity in itself because the, we're not going to be able to compete with FBS here shortly, right? I think, to your point, I think the initial NIL deal was what they brought to the table was the point, right? Name, image, and likeness. So you go out and you get your money off your name, image, and likeness. How we got to the collective part of this thing, how we got to the agent part of this thing, I don't know. But nobody's hawking their jerseys. Nobody's out doing signings anymore. If you remember, that's how it started. Getting businesses to pay you to come in and do autograph signings, putting your jersey up on a website or whatever. I don't think anybody's doing that anymore because the collective part of it has found that way to get into it. And I think if we don't figure out how to get back, like you said, to get back to the initial thought of it, this thing's going to go way the other way, and it's going to turn into basically AAA, which it already
Kind
has.
of is at the P4 level.
Yeah, AAA baseball, double A, single A. I think is how it's going to end up going.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Andrew's going to find a good spot, man. Parents are too involved. I know the one thing I can tell you, Coach, is he has met his agent at least. So at least it's not one of
It
these
wasn't over the it wasn't
street
over the
agents.
internet.
Like
Yeah.
he's with a legit agency. So like that's a good thing, right? Not these street agents that are just reaching out via Twitter DMs, and taking 30% of whatever the NIL revenue may be. And it was funny. You were talking on the coaches corner about it. Like, what happens if you don't get a bag and you sign with one of these agents that are taking 30%? Does he get 30% of your meal plan? Does he get 30% of your tuition? Like, what 30% are you paying if you don't get a bag?
Your rev share, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking your cost of attendance, like your Pell Grant money. Like I, I don't know, man. I wish I if we're gonna ride with the agency thing, Coach, I really do hope college football, the NCAA, goes with like an NFL model where there's like a set
Yeah,
agent, like
that's it.
yeah, like you have to sign with these agencies because we got to get out. The street agents are really messing up the thing. And someone asked me, like, all the Twitter announcements with people entering the transfer portal. Man, when you see some of those guys that are being pushed by like the mainstream media, it's because of the agent pushing. And that's why you see like the Marcus Stokes kid from West Florida, where you saw the graphic on 3 put out of all the schools that have contacted him.
That's kind of
Yeah.
illegal, but I mean, I'm not going to say anything about it. But
Well, no, it's not illegal for D2.
no, not D2, but I'm saying those other guys that are,
Yeah.
because at this point, other than D2, one AA, one A, um, you're not supposed to be contacted, so to speak. So
There's been a lot of contact between
and
like, listen,
again,
I know a few guys in the portal.
we got to get a panel together and really talk about this, like, because at the end of the day, B, what happens? And somebody sent Mr. Campbell sent me something this morning where someone is online telling these kids to go and do that, right? Not ever mentioning school, not ever mentioning class or any of that stuff. It's like, just go get it, right? Uh, Forget everything else, just go get it. And I think we are getting to that point to where now supposedly APR is going to loosen to the point to where it's probably going to go away.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
heard.
Progress towards degree is still a real thing, even though, but we're going to get to a point to where guys are going to look up and they're going to be in their fifth year and they're going to be at 75 hours. You know what I mean? So if I transferred into Bluebloods University and I only have 6 months basically to play ball, and I don't get drafted, I don't get picked up, this new school that I just got here to, are they going to pay for me to finish? Uh-oh, that's another issue. You know what I mean? So now what am I going to do? These people from the IRS are starting to garnish my real work check, you know, because I wasn't paying taxes on the money that I was getting, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope that a lot of these agents are doing that, but that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother show. We have to get Josh and all the other guys in on a
I,
round
I,
table
I
for
will
that.
say that there's one FCS school that is supposedly starting a tax slash money management class for all their athletes on NIL deals, which is awesome. I think that should be almost a mandatory thing.
From the beginning, definitely. From the
Yeah,
beginning.
and then they're supposedly setting up LLCs for all the players and all this kind of stuff. Like that's awesome. That's how it should be done, rather than just throwing the kid a $300,000 check and being like, "Hey, man, when that IRS comes knocking, better have some of this money still available."
Like, who are these people? You know what I mean? So that is awesome. And
And if anyone's
wow,
ever made $300,000, you know exactly how much the IRS is taking from that too.
anybody in the chat ever made 300, man? Tell us what they want. But
Whew.
I wish we had that. You know what I mean? We were getting that paycheck, man, 2,500 a semester or whatever, and we were balling out of control. Barbecues, uh, all the MD 2020 we could possibly drink during spring break. The shoes. So I think that's something that's really really needed uh, while we're going through this process for real.
Man, well, we were at an hour, man. So, guys, me and Coach are about to head out of here, but we'll be back. We're gonna take next week off. Obviously, next week,
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas.
holidays. So, man, we wish y'all, all of y'all the best holiday week next week, man. And we'll be back the next week. We're gonna do a like full season recap. We got a bunch of cool topics. Like we're gonna be grading every team. We're gonna be talking coaching hires, transfer portals, all that kind of stuff. And so, man, make sure to tune in, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Blue Bloods. Hit the like button and leave your comments, thoughts, suggestions, ideas, whatever y'all want to talk about this all season. Coach, man, any last words?
I'm looking at the chat. Somebody said not MD 2020. Oh, y'all must have been bougie. Y'all must have had money. You know what I mean? So yeah, we were MD. Great. Don't tell me you don't know about the banana red now. Come on now. We were brick city uh, in that spring semester when we got that pale check. Ain't no doubt about it. Leg quarters. The linebackers on the team, I always felt like they were the best barbecuers. So they were in charge of the grills, all that kind of stuff. So
Listen, the
yeah,
best barbecuers always were the O linemen. Always the O linemen.
see, I beg to differ. Even though they say linebackers, you say O line, it's really the skill guys, man. Like we really know how to get in there, get that thing flavored up, seasoned. Because y'all bigger guys, you ain't got to put no salt and pepper on it. Y'all just freaking boom, 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 and you go at it. But the little guys, we season it up. We know how to get it right. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. Listen, if I don't want my cook looking like he doesn't know what it's like to eat his own food. I need my cook to look like he knows what it's like to cook some ribs, man. Like so, I
Uh,
disagree. It's always the O lineman, always the O lineman.
I like it. I like it. I like it. But yeah, man.
Oh man,
Again, man, thank you guys for tuning in, rocking with us this year. A little slow year. Had some stuff on my end, but my guy Zach kept us afloat, kept me afloat. Thank you guys again. Merry Christmas to all of you wherever you are. We'll see him before the New Year, right?
yeah. Oh, for sure. We'll be back the week after Christmas, man.
All right, cool, cool. So we don't have to
Straight
say
back with
Happy New Year just yet.
and it's funny, man. Mentioned in Mad Dog, bro. I had a best friend who that was his nickname.
Mad Dog. Oh,
His
yeah.
his nickname was Mad Dog because, like, man, when he was in college, like in high school, I guess the statute of limitations have run out here, bro. That's all that man would drink. He'd be off of it too.
I see
He
somebody
knows who I'm
said
talking
Boom
about.
Farm.
He knows who I'm talking about, man. Shout out to my guy, Mad Dog B Dub.
Somebody said
Um,
Boone's Farm. I remember that. Brass Monkey. I'm dating myself, but yo, all that stuff, man. Now that Everclear and Mad Dog that you just put up there, no.
yeah, I don't know about the Everclear, man. I might have to pass on that one.
you
That's a one top thing.
learn quickly from that one. That ain't what we doing. No, sir.
Or like the moonshine, the
Oh no.
moonshine.
Oh
No,
no.
if you get it flavored, it's not as bad. Now, if you get
Yeah.
like that white lightning, that you go, no, I'm good on all that. That's pretty much just Everclear.
You know what got me from moonshine, B? My uncle, and I can tell the story. Long time ago, brought a gallon, put it in a cap, and the guy he's buying it from was standing right there, and he's like, "Hold on, put it in the cap." He set it afire,
Yeah,
and then was like, "Okay, cool, here." I'm like, "What in the heck is going on here?" And you finna drink that? Oh no! I just set it on fire. There's no way. He's like, "That's the only way when you're
just
dealing with
pure
moonshine."
gasoline.
That's like when you're dealing with moonshine, you got to make sure that's how you know it's real. You light it up. Well, that's a lesson. I thank you for teaching me, but it's not what I'm going to use because I ain't drinking moonshine. No, you can light that up. No, that can't be
Bro,
good for
the
you.
flavor ones aren't bad. Like you got like the apple and like so like one of the ones I had was like a sweet tea moonshine. That was pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Now it was strong, but it's not bad, man. I bought
I'll
it from
take.
a dude in like Wilmer, Alabama, man. It came in like the legit like mason jars. Redneck. Like
It
that,
came from the hills, huh?
yeah, it was something. We had a fun
Man,
night that
no.
night.
Nah, man. We had those 40s, St. Ives. Man, college was a wild freaking time back then. And we had no money, but somehow
Yeah.
we.
Well, that's why you buy the moonshine. The moonshine's cheap. Like they sell it for nothing. You see, and it don't take much. You only gotta buy a little bottle of it.
Man, look at here. Yeah, I'm just scared of the aftermath.
That's also fair. And I'm not gonna argue with you there. But he said if it's not an about to do 2 liter bottle, it's not real it's not real moonshine.
I'll remember that.
Shout out to Charles, man. Oh my god, man.
I'll remember
That's
that.
hilarious. See now I don't really drink anymore, but like if I do, it's just a crown apple, man. I'm good. I'm sticking with my crown apple. That's where I'm good at.
I'm gonna have to get you some of that blackberry, man. Get you off that crown.
Yeah. So, but guys, man, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We went a little off the rails there toward the end, man. We'll be back after next week, man. Enjoy y'all's Christmas holiday season. We'll be back with the HBCU full season recap the week after Christmas, man. But for Coach Fred, myself, the Blue Bloods, FCS Football Central on SI, we are out for right now.